are you doing? And I don't have time for this. I have to go and get ready. Or don't ask the question if you don't want the answer. Just say happy Sabbath and walk on. But the minute you ask me how I'm doing, I will ask me in the back. I said, brother, we don't have time for that. Let's look at these facts so that we can take off our mask today. Fact number 1. You're not perfect. Sin is ugly. And we are all sinners. Excuse my throat. I think we know this in our heads, but do we know it in our hearts? Christians still have this strange idea that when we walk through the doors of a church, your hair better be sorted. If you don't have hair, you better buff your head. Make it nice and shiny. Your clothes better look presentable. Your kids better not make a peep. You better have a smile on your face. And for goodness sakes, don't come forward if there's an invitation, because then people might just know, thank you, people might just know that you are not perfect. And remember what we said, we don't want other people to know that we're not perfect, right? Why would I want you to think less of me? I'm a preacher. In your eyes, I have a certain standard to achieve. And if I don't achieve that, you might think less of me. You might not invite me back. God forbid. What would that do to my pride? So when I came here, I wanted to preach about, I had this really happy sermon that I wanted to preach. God was nagging at me. They're not your words, Costa, they're my words. And that's important. And it's like we just like pretend. There was a guy called Michael Yaconelli. You possibly don't know who he is. He's one of the most honest, he's dead now, he's one of the most honest Christians that I've ever come across. You may remember a youth resource called Youth Specialties. He created that. It's a fantastic guy. He starts his book. I'm reading this book called Messy Christianity. His opening line is, I'm a mess. I'm reading this book hoping to get encouragement and motivation. He starts the book with, I'm a mess. He struggles with depression and goes through life. And there was one thing in this book, and I hugely recommend this book, Messy Spirituality. And he says this, for a period of time, we were lucky to have a housekeeper. She would come in once a week to dust, vacuum, and clean every little out-of-the-way corner of our house. I dreaded the day that she came, because my wife and I would spend all morning cleaning the house for the housekeeper. We didn't want the house to be dirty, or what would the housekeeper think? Don't we do that with God? Don't we do that? Because the housekeeper, Michael Yaconelli and his wife are trying to pretend to the housekeeper that the house is tidy. What's the purpose of a housekeeper? To tidy your home, right? And we I don't know if it happens to you, but sometimes when I used to pray, I used to not talk about certain things with God. As though he didn't know. Pretending to God. We talk our way out of the spiritual life, but refusing to come to God as we are. We say just as we are. And instead we decide to wait until we're ready to come to God as we aren't. You might think that you come to God by being here, but being here doesn't mean you've come to God. You've just come to a building. Until we admit we're a mess. We decide that the way we lived yesterday, last week, last year makes us damaged goods. And until we start living right, we're not really the kind of material that God is looking for. Some of us actually believe that until we choose the correct way to live, we aren't choosable by God. That until we clean up the mess, that Jesus won't have anything to do with us. When in our messy spirituality, the opposite is true. He says, I chose you. You didn't choose me. I chose you. Each and every one of you here, but today by design, by God's purpose. And until we admit we're a mess, Jesus won't have anything to do with us. Once we admit how unlovely we are, how unattractive we are, how lost we are, that's when Jesus shows up. Unexpectedly, he shows up. And according to the New Testament, Jesus is attracted to the unattractive. He prefers the lost ones over the found ones, the losers over the winners, the broken instead of the whole, the messy instead of the unmessy, and the crippled instead of the non-crippled. Isn't that what Jesus himself taught? It is the sick that need a doctor, not the healthy. Jesus says that if we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. We deceive ourselves. Do you remember what fact number 1 is? You're not perfect. Stop pretending you're perfect. Because then if you stop pretending, you can help me with my depression. Because I know some of you folks are depressed. You can help me with my addictions. You can help me with my struggle. You can come and lay hands on me. You can pray with me. You can support me. You can feed me. You can help me. Because church isn't really about the 2-3 hours we spend with each other once a week. Church is what happens in your lifestyle. How you behave. You're not perfect. Take off the mask. Fact number 2.